there a second? Second by Commissioner Orsini. All those in favor, say aye. Oppose? Okay, approval of minutes of the regular meeting on April 14th and the reconvened meeting on April 16th of the April 14th meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes subject to any corrections? Moved by Commissioner Matata, second by Commissioner Orsini. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Okay, the minutes are adopted. Correspondence, Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So on April 16th, we did receive an award from the Cleary's Award for Best Practices. So as you guys may be aware that last year we received $66,000 for the College Poll Worker Program. We were able to coordinate with UOG and collaborate with them to encourage students and teachers seeking continual ed credits to come and join and participate as precinct officials. So, of course, thanks to Anna and Tanya, they wrote it down, they put together the data, and of course now the GEC is being recognized as the best practice for recruiting, retaining, and training poll workers for medium and small jurisdictions. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Oh yeah, something we're very proud about.
Of the total precinct, precinct workers, how many came from the program?
I want to say about 40. Yeah, 40 of, yeah, 46 came from the College Poll Worker Program.
Okay. Okay, any questions or comments from the commissioners? Okay, item B.
Item E, Mr. Chair, so that's page 18. We received the letter from Director Schultz from the Office of Grants Management informing us of our eligibility for $54,000 in securities grants. Just a little background, the security grants, we normally receive about $200,000. So that would be about a $140,000 decrease from what we would normally receive. But we also want to report that we did complete the award packet and the $54,000 has been loaded onto the accounts.
Okay, good. Any questions, comments? Okay, let's go item C.
Item C, the GEC received a letter from Mr. Jonathan Diaz. His email was regarding outstanding balance for an airfare for a UOG Professional and Technical Award. We just want to note that Mr. Diaz, the letter was initially addressed to the Attorney General, and he has not requested any action from the GEC. He just CC'd us in his email.
Okay, any questions, comments on this? Okay, item D, the Department of Administration.
Okay, so yes, Director Byrne did write to us inquiring some clarity regarding the definition of the Chief Executive Officer under the Public Financial Disclosure Act. Page 23 is the Executive Director's response to the inquiry, basically informing him of the section covering all administrative heads to include directors, general managers, and so on. The director also noted that, I guess, advising the policy office to also seek clarity with the Ethics Commission. And then, of course, we will do our part in help formulating a list of all the individuals who are required to file their FDS.
Okay, is there any action on our part?
No action on our part, Mr. Chair. It was just an inquiry.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Okay, let's move on to the Executive Director's Report, the timeline.
Sorry, sir. So for the timeline, we are on track with our timeline, and we just added some new items to it. We do anticipate holding a public hearing for our GAR and our election manual. As you can recall, it was in the April meeting. The board did approve the edits to the GAR and the manual. So we are anticipating having the public hearing on June 6th, and the ad for the hearing will be released on May 27th. And of course, we'll make our preparation, we'll prepare for that upcoming hearing as we get closer.
Okay, any questions, Vice Chair?
Yeah, Tom, I just have one question on the timeline here on
Sure.
page 26 here. I was just wondering, what's the big jump here? You look at Saturday, August 1st, 2026, right, primary election? And then it goes all the way down to Wednesday, May 27.
Oh, okay. Yes, sorry, sir. So, we are preparing the timeline. So, yes, we are just highlighting the very important dates that we need to work around. So, as we draw closer to those dates, such as the elections, we will start filling in those timelines with certain projects or items that we need to address before we actually meet those deadlines. So, of course, those will be filled in as we get closer to the primary election.
So that's the reason for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe you should
But
make,
yeah, we're just putting, I guess, in the timeline, we're just highlighting, I guess, to the board where, I guess, the mandated important dates for you guys to consider.
Which is from May 27th through October 4th?
Yeah.
Those are, okay. Okay, any other questions or comments on the timeline? Okay, let's move on to item B, which is the monthly voter by precinct. Is this a long form?
No, this is page 30, Mr. Chair. It's just your, part of your regular reporting. It's just the precinct by precinct breakdown. So as of April 25th, we are at 50,965 registered voters.
And that's an increase from the last report?
Yes, it's
of
a,
300 voters?
yeah, increase of 310.
Okay.
And then if, I guess, because it's relative to item B, item C is virtually the breakdown from the online motor voter registration and pre-registration reports. So they all pretty much support the precinct breakdown.
I know in the registration, we talked about proof of citizenship.
Yes, yeah.
On the online, on the motor voter, what
Mhm.
do they, how do they show the proof of citizenship?
So we are requesting that proof of citizenship be provided.
Provided?
One of the ways is that if we are trying to acquire some access with DMV, because some of our voters or our applicants, they apply with the real ID showcasing their, of course, showing their birth certificates and passports and any proof of citizenship. So of course, we're trying to have access to that system so that when we do receive the applications, we can actually just pull them down from the system. But if no proof of citizenship is provided, then we will write to the applicant informing them that in order to complete their registration, that certain documents must be provided.
Mr. Burke provided.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions or comments on that? Okay, item D, the financial report, monthly financial report to the U.S. Election Assistance
Okay.
Grant.
Yes, Mr. Chair, for the general fund for the month of April to May, particularly April 11th to May 12th, the GEC has expended about $153,021, with the bulk of our expenditures being, of course, personnel, rent, and copier services. And then the rest are also highlighted on your report on page 33. And then, of course, giving us an available balance of $708,534.
Okay,
And then-
any questions?
Oh, yeah,
Any
sorry.
further comments on that? Okay, item E, the
Oh,
2024 financial disclosure.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Just one more item on this. So in page 35, the election securities grants, our federal funding. So in
yeah.
page 35, you'll see that the balance shows 548,877. And then you can tell, if you notice on May 1st, we did get our account credited for the 54,545, which is came from the security grants, the FY 2012 security grant.
Okay, any questions? How's that balance? Okay, 2024 financial disclosure.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So we are pleased to report that all public and elected officials have filed their full financial disclosures or requests for extensions. And of course, beginning page 37 to 45 is the breakdown provided for your reference.
Okay, any questions, comments? Okay, moving then on to old business. Item A is the Campaign Finance Committee.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So we are, so item A, campaign finance, modernizing Guam's campaign finance. We've just begun conducting market research and identifying a software to assist us with our campaign finances. So, of course, in looking for or doing our research, we are looking for things the software can provide, like such as compliance, reporting, donor management, expense tracking, and of course, security. So that's what we are looking for in hoping to procure a software or find a software for that. And of course, we'll keep you guys posted in any developments of that.
And this is to allow candidates to file these
Yes,
reports online?
Yes, file. Hopefully, that's one thing we are looking at, where if we can have candidates file their reports online or input their data in a universal type
Portal,
system, so that it'll be easier to track, easier, I guess, to audit and things like that.
Okay, any questions? Yeah, Commissioner Singh?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Tom, does the market research also include looking if we can jump on current systems used by other states or territories?
Yes, I think Maria did mention, if I'm not mistaken, a couple meetings ago, that she was working with Hawaii, and maybe Hawaii was looking at providing us, I guess, a portion of that software, I guess, for a test or something. That's one thing the director is working on too, or is looking into as well, part of our research. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to look at timelines and
Yeah.
if we're going to move in that direction.
Yeah.
I know Hawaii doesn't have places where you go vote, right? I mean, it's either, they don't have locations where you go and vote. It's a little bit different. I think they mail the ballots out. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They actually have an office dedicated virtually pretty much to their campaign finance.
yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Singh?
I think it would be very beneficial if we continue down the road of looking at how we can jump on another state, because that way, because it's intergovernmental, we would simply, and legal counsel can look at this as well, do an MOU rather than go through a procurement process with a private entity. So that would save us, the legwork and the administrative resources and the fiscal resources if we were able to jump on another state and simply do an MOU. Thanks.
Right. Yeah, we don't need to reinvent the wheel here. Right?
Just so you're aware, a private enterprise is doing Hawaii's. So they contract with the with the private contractor.
But if we do an MOU with Hawaii, I mean, the contract would be with Hawaii and the contractor, and then we could just do an MOU with Hawaii, right?
Yeah, we can, I know Kristen, who's the head of the campaign finance, has offered Guam GEC. We actually met with her at Kobo, and she's offered to facilitate a meeting with Maria and the staff for that. So I know they're communicating.
Okay. Yes.
That would be
Commissioner.
great if the campaign finance members could also be in on that meeting. Thanks.
Yeah, for any discussions on, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that's all part of the modernizing of our election process is to have some timelines and some further discussions as we take it further. So, yeah, if you can include the members of the commissioners that are assigned to the Finance Committee on these discussions.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, any further comments or questions on the Campaign Finance Committee? Okay, next item.
Okay, item B, modernizing Guam's elections. So that one too, we are doing some market research. Again, the director had mentioned that she is looking into poll books, as well as we are exploring the idea of updating our central voter registration system. So those are some things we are looking into. I believe she did mention that out in her last trip, you guys went to York County, where they fully implemented their poll books and their CVR system in one motion with, I would say, probably minimal disruption. So she has communicated with them, and of course, they gave her some feedbacks on how we can go about. So yes, so we are looking into the poll books and into the CVR system, and hopefully we can have something, a description of the poll books for you guys by the next June meeting.
And this, if we decide to implement this, this will be funded by the grant?
Yes, this will be funded by the grant. Yeah.
And it'll be available to all the precincts?
Yes, well, yeah, that's what ideally we'll be looking at, or depending on how the board wants to proceed, if they want to do a full poll book system throughout the entire island, or if you guys want to conduct a beta test, maybe,
Early vote
or yeah, just
During the
for the
early
early
vote.
vote system, and see how it's managed.
yeah.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry, so Anna just informed me. So yes, they will be sending us a demo poll book. It was actually supposed to arrive for this meeting. However, they had some shipping delays, something about the battery being connected. So it will be here for the June meeting for you guys to go over and look at.
And I think the advantage of the poll book, the e-poll book, is that it won't allow a voter, if a voter votes in Barrigada, for instance, and goes up to Chico to vote, it'll prevent that. Currently now, they can do that,
Yeah.
and we find out after the,
And then reconciling, Mr. Chair, will be done almost instantaneously. So you will have a count already of how many
how many
people
voters have voted.
have showed up by the time the polls close. So, yeah.
Okay. Any further questions, comments on that? Okay, item C, the FY '26 budget request.
Nothing to report yet, Mr. Chair. We have reached out to OFB, but no meeting has been set, and we did inform them that the director is currently will be returning back. So I'm assuming we're gonna wait till after until the director returns to meet with OFB. Yeah. But of course, we'll keep you guys posted.
Yeah. Okay, item D, the Bill 2538.
Yes, okay, so this one, Mr. Chair, this recent legislation allows the GC to publish our public notices electronically in addition to other media platforms and newspapers. Oh, I'm sorry, yes, it's a Public Law
Public Law,
38-3, yeah. So actually, the director would like, I guess, to gauge the board to see whether or not we want to maintain our current publication practices, or if you'd like us to explore publishing electronically moving forward.
Okay.
So we did actually provide you guys, so here's one price schedule for, I believe, the PDN.
This is electronic, right?
Yeah, this is the
Yeah,
electronic, yeah. Just to give you guys an idea of how much it would cost, and I guess a little bit of a background, just basically our publications for our meetings would roughly cost the commission about $10,000 a year, just right now with our normal publications.
That's 10,000 a year.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes. Not to include any additional meetings, like I guess with the elections, where you have multiple meetings in 1 month. This is just for our regular monthly meetings.
What is the size that we want? 2 by 7.
2 by 7, yeah. Okay, any questions? I know we discussed this previously. Yeah, Commissioner Singh.
Thank you. Tom, if we moved to fully posting online rather than in print right now, and we use the amount here, how much do we save, estimating per year?
Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. So roughly around 4,000, about $4,000. Yeah, savings, yes.
It was just strictly electronic.
Yeah, and then what we can do for you guys, Mr. Chair, is I guess because right now we only kind of reached out to the 2 well-known publishers, I guess. So we can, the law does say other eligible platforms, or so we can go and explore that and see what products are available for us to use. If there is a combination of both print and electronic, maybe that will be more suitable for the commission if they prefer that to also keep the print.
So are these just
I think just one.
our meeting notices, or is this
Yeah, this will
for
just.
other types of notices?
I think this would just be reference to our meeting notices. I think we still may have to publish our notices of elections, our
Right.
precinct listings, and stuff like that, and our cancellations on a general circular. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because I had talked to Maria before about our role in increasing and improving voter participation. And that should really fall under us as the lead, whether we, advertise heavily or whatever, work with the stakeholders. But, and with this gubernatorial election coming up, I think it's incumbent that we improve the turnout from, 56%
Yes.
to at least 60%, and not the other way around, right? But it's going to fall on our
Yeah.
lap to come up with a plan, but that involves the advertising.
Yes.
Both electronic and print or whatever needs. So yeah, if you can provide us with other mediums.
Yes, yeah, we can look into it and look into what other eligible media platforms would entail, and then we can come back to you more on that.
We always see it on posts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Any further questions? Yeah, Commissioner?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the director is inquiring on what direction we would like her to take on whether to continue with strictly print
Yes.
or strictly
Electronic.
electronic, or a combination of both.
Or yeah, we can explore if there, because in speaking with some of them, I think there might be an option of having like both to be published on their website and as well as on print. So we would have to see what products they have available, because I know a lot of them are aware of the new law. So I'm pretty sure they may be developing something for the government agencies.
Yeah, because besides the print and the electronic with PDM, but the like radio stations, I don't know
Yes.
where that falls in, but I think the majority of people are in their cars listening to the radio
Or in the,
as opposed to reading the paper. right? So you try to reach that. Yeah. So yeah, if you can provide that to us, it'd be good to kind of get a plan for the 26th
Okay.
election coming up prior. Okay, item E, which is that's the administrative complaint.
Yes, Mr. Chair, so we have reached out to Ms. Augustine. So the email is there. I tried to reach out to her regarding the meeting today, and however, there has been no response as of yet, as of this time, rather. I believe the last time I did speak with her, she was off island, and I think we did try and call, but the phone wasn't going through, so I think she may still be off island. Yeah. Oh, I'm not too sure. Yeah, we haven't received any email from her.
Any
in
response?
Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, Commissioner Singh?
I have a question. Does the law or our rules require us to address these complaints within a certain timeline?
During the election period, right? Yeah. And I think this came as a result of the previous election, this last election, yeah. Yeah, I thought that we wanted to give, we're going to give her, try to reach out to her, but give her a deadline to respond, otherwise we take it off the agenda. I think that's where we left off at, right?
I just have one question for legal.
Yeah,
Now that
Commissioner.
we send all this email or whatever it is to Mrs. San Agustin, is there a legal challenge there? We close this out, or are we still gonna do pending on this situation here?
Give her the deadline. There's no deadline in this letter, so.
Yeah, that's one of
And
my
I would
questions.
just give her like 60 days, saying is in the July meeting, if we don't hear anything back from you.
We're gonna close it out.
We're going to close it out.
Yeah. Because, I think because
I
it's
think that's, yeah.
it's a filed administrative complaint that we have to.
So I think, Tom, we should follow up on that
Okay,
and give her a
okay.
timeline.
So we'll,
So that on our next meeting,
Yeah.
if no response by then, we can just close it out, because, we keep on putting it on our agenda here.
okay. Okay. Sorry, Mr. Chair. So would that be a 60-day stay, or what's the time period you guys would like me to
No.
let her know?
I would say on our next meeting, I mean, that's more than enough time.
30 days?
30 days? Okay, yeah. Okay, will our next meeting be on the 30th day?
That'll be the June,
I mean, I know she's not
The
off
June
island,
meeting,
that's
right?
all, yeah.
Huh?
I said, I know she's not off island.
Oh,
Okay, Mr. Chair. So we'll send out we'll send her a letter
just a
out.
follow-up to
yeah.
yours. And
Yeah,
you-
and then we'll give her a deadline.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to item F, which is the precinct realignment. I guess that's,
All right. Yes, sir. So in your packet, we did provide some information for your consideration of the realignment. Your part of the data reflects populations from 2014 to present, or precinct populations, as well as the executive director also provided this data breakdown. If you're able to take a look at it, what she did based on the 1,200, I guess, recommendation. She was able to break down the precincts, indicating how many precincts will be, if the precincts will have to increase or decrease based on the 1,200. So with with the 1,200 minimum, it seems like we will be decreasing our precincts from 72 to 38 precincts.
72 to 38?
Yes. So, for example, Mr. Chair, if you look at Jotnia, right? So Jotnia, currently we have 4 precincts, but again, if we use the 1,200 threshold, we will only be required to at least have 3 precincts to satisfy. And then in the bigger districts such as Dedido, I believe, I'm I'm not too sure how many.
Look, Dededo, you have 11.
Yeah, so in Dededo, we will be able to cut that down to 14 precincts. Yeah.
Yeah, 14.
And then also, Mr. Chair, on just again for some references on the election comparative analysis report, if you look at page 17, it actually has a historical breakdown of our precincts, virtually from inception, from I believe 1976 to present.
Page what?
Page 17. Yeah, so it's page 17 and 18. So this is how the commission has aligned the precincts through those years. And then, of course, 2024 is our current precinct breakdown right now.
Yeah,
And
that's
it-
a drastic
Yeah.
reduction.
Yeah, and then just to let you know too, Mr. Chair, we are working with our oversight, Senator Titagui, and in the event we need to prepare any legislation necessary for the realignment. Yeah.
And this will be for the upcoming,
Uh,
effective, the
Ye-
upcoming election.
Yes, it'll be for the upcoming election, but of course, the realignment can be done anytime between now
Yeah,
and then,
right.
so.
Okay, any
Yeah,
questions?
just one question. So if we're gonna target this for 2026, you're saying that from 72 to 38, we have enough time to do this situation here and publicize it for all the voters out there?
Yes, we will, so like, in the code, it does have specific timelines. So, we would just have to publish the notices, I believe, 30 days prior to an election, we will have to disseminate to the mayor's offices and things like that, of the precincts, of its breakdown, and where and when the election will be held. So, we will have, I mean, we will have time to disseminate it if done now. Of course, as we get closer to the election or 30 days prior to election, we won't be able to do that. So.
You know, I'm just kind of curious because I know 2026 is just around the corner, but I'm pretty sure that some of the voters out there might not listen to all this, and we're gonna create a little bit of a chaos, I guess. I mean, that's me just talking, you know, because a lot of these voters, when they change, they say, hey, how come I was not notified? And then they get pissed off and say, never mind, I'm not gonna vote. So that's just my situation, and especially it's the gubernatorial race, you know, and all this, so.
And then,
I'm just looking at that as a, you know, whether it's positive or negative side.
oh yes, and then, yes, Mr. Chair or Vice Chair, when we do have any changes, especially the structural changes in increasing or decreasing the precinct, we do go out in a information campaign to our voters. We contact the media. Of course, we have our media partners provide us several segments where we can relay the information. The director does go on as many media platforms to disseminate that information, and as well as our publications. So we do initiate a campaign to try and get that information out to our voters as soon as possible. I believe we even in the last election, we even erected billboard signs indicating that the precinct has changed and or the polling place rather has changed and where the new location can be found.
Yeah, I think where we'll have some issues is if we change the location.
Yeah.
So if somebody's used to going to Weddingale
Yes.
and you just reduce that number, if they're in the same location, I don't think it'd be too much of an issue. But once you change the location, now you have to send them to another school. I think that becomes
Yeah.
the problem. So in the last, from 2016 to 2020, 2023, we had 67 precincts, and then we jumped up to 72.
Yes.
I know there was a campaign advertising, basically, of the increase in
Yeah.
precincts now, or the change in precincts.
Mhm.
This will be the reverse, right? Because it's drastically down to
Yeah, well,
38.
well, that's just based off what the precincts could be. Of course, it's totally up to the commission whether or not they want to keep that number, or of course expand it, increase the number of
Accessibility.
precincts, or decrease them. So that number is just if we just follow the 1,200 limitation,
Limit, yeah.
then what do you call that? We can potentially lower it down to 38.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to make any decisions on this today. But we need to finalize it soon so that
Yes.
there's enough time for the commission to start.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it does have some impact to voter access. You know, if we went from 72 to 60, maybe the reverse of the previous year, but we're talking about more than half. And we do want to increase the voter turnout this time around, right?
Yeah.
So. Okay, any further questions on this? Yes, Commissioner Singh?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Tom, what potential legislation would be needed, as you were saying, with working with our oversight on drafting potential legislation?
So currently, the current statute only allows a precinct to be, cannot be substantially more than 800 voters in a precinct. So if the commission would like to increase that number, being a little bit more efficient, if we probably increased it to 1,000 or 1,200, that will require some legislation, because of course, 1,000 is, I would say, probably substantially more than 800. So that's one aspect of making some adjustments. And then the other one, I know Maria had mentioned that, she talked about probably adding more precinct officials to a precinct. I guess in your last meeting, she discussed that. So like in the bigger precincts where we can service a bunch of people, rather than opening up another precinct with 5 bodies, we can probably just have one precinct and just increase the number to like 7 precinct officials to accommodate that flow. And then that one too would require legislation, because the law currently requires that a maximum of 5 in a precinct.
Right. Right, okay.
But that would come after we make our decision, likely next meeting. right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'll need to know the direction we're going to take on this, and
Yeah.
then,
Because, and the director has, I believe, reported, and I guess mentioned to you guys, so like, again, with early voting, we have been noticing that the precincts have been pretty quiet. There are very much some downtimes and things like that, so where virtually nobody is really walking in, or they may see a voter, a couple voters an hour. So, of course, what we can do is expand that precinct and reduce by also reducing some of the precincts in the polling site, and just having maybe like 7 people service these groups as opposed to having 10. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I think we'll have further discussion in the next meeting
Yes.
when we have at least all the commissioners present, and then give you some direction on this.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I'm not just really comfortable about this, because I'm looking at it as a very short time to change all this, if we're gonna need to change it and go to a legislature and all this, how long is it gonna take? So, it's a good gesture, but I think we need to discuss this more in detail, and whether it's gonna happen in 2026, that's another question. Because too many loophole here, we're gonna go to public hearing, like changing the 5 to 7, how long is it gonna take? to change that into that category of, 5 to 7. And then we're gonna go out and, announce this again, so, I mean, 2026, like I said, is just around the corner, and I don't know whether we can make it or not, or, and like what the chair said, maybe we should look into this more heavily and discuss it later on.
I mean, is this,
Yeah.
including the public hearing and what's required, would all this be wrapped up by December? So that beginning January, we
Publicize it.
start educating the public, but, it's highly unlikely, right?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, so based on, I guess, when the board decides or how the board wants to decide to realign the precincts, and remember, you guys can also realign the precincts without even adjusting the statute. So as you can see from the years, the commission has done that without actually touching any legislation. But yes, that would depend on when the board makes their decision, and of course, when public hearings are scheduled, and of course, when the legislature goes into session. So, yeah. So if the board is, like, I guess, considering increasing that number from 800 to 1,200, then yes, that would require some
Public-
legislative action.
Legislative
Yeah.
action.
I don't want to give the impression to the voter that we are limiting access. It sounds like we're taking 72 precincts and reducing to 38. In their mind, it may be we're trying to limit access to voting. And that shouldn't be the case. I mean, we're not doing that, but that's maybe the impression. Okay. Any further discussions? So we'll keep this on the agenda for next meeting, and then we'll
Okay.
have further discussions on this, but try to get some wrap-up
Okay.
as to what
Yes.
direction we want to take.
Yeah. And then, yes, just let us know if you guys require any additional information. We'll gladly provide that.
Okay, let's move to item G, the standard boards meeting. That's the trip that Maria and Anna
Yes,
took, right?
so on that one, the ED's trip report is there for your review. And again, she, as mentioned earlier, she wanted to make note that she did, her and Anna did take the opportunity to visit Yorktown, where they did provide some information in rolling out their poll books and CDRS system. Oh, and then another thing, Mr. Chair, and just inform me that the director has also been elected as chairman of the Standards Board Commission. So,
Yes, she was vice chair before.
yes, I believe she was.
Chair.
Yeah.
No, she's the chair.
Now she's the chair, chairwoman.
Would that benefit the commission and us?
Yes. Well,
Okay, any questions, comments on that? Okay, item H is the executive director's performance evaluation. So I want to table the executive session because not all commissioners are here again. However, we've asked Maria to resubmit a self-performance evaluation.
okay.
Okay, so that will be distributed to the commissioners. And then we'll hopefully go into executive session at our next meeting to discuss the performance evaluation further. I know we talked about putting some performance guarantees or performance indicators as part of the evaluation. So I met with Maria to ask her for a self-evaluation and also some performance indicators. So how, so that would be based on how we would evaluate her performance. So it'd be a bunch of different items that's pretty standard for elections, of administering elections. But on the top of that is voter turnout. And we should be evaluated based on voter turnout. I mean, we can put together a great administration of an election, transparent and, accurate, but if only 5% or 10% of the voters turn out, that does not look good. So we'll get that when Maria, I know she returns next week, right? But we wanted it ahead of time so that the June meeting, we can wrap up the evaluation. So we'll table the executive session until the next meeting. And then we'll move on to new business. There's Bill 8538.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Bill 8538, the Guam Veterans Empowerment Act of 2025. Relative to the GEC, the act seeks to establish an elected Guam Veterans Commission. There where the GEC will be responsible for conducting all the elections from the general election to runoff elections and vacancies. The act also requires the GEC to establish a voter registry separate from our island's voter registry system as well. So, so far, there hasn't been a public hearing on the bill, but that one will keep you posted on that.
So this is similar to what we do with the retirement fund?
No. Maybe if
This is more.
council. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yes,
Mr.
Commissioner
Chair,
Sini.
I wanted to discuss, should this bill get a hearing and before we meet next, what we could include in our testimony, right? And because this bill would require so much from us, not just maintaining a veterans electorate registry, but I came across a provision in here that also requires us to draft rules and regs for the commission. And so we would be doing that for this new entity. In addition to doing their elections, and the cost with doing these elections is we would have to have a separate ballot because only veterans could vote in electing these commissioners to the veterans, this new veterans agency. So we would have to have a separate ballot, a separate roll. We would have to draft the rules and regs. And I imagine we would also have to tweak our outreach. So I anticipate at least there would be a significant amount of more resources we would need to ask for from the legislature. And we should put that in our draft testimony. Thank you.
I'd just also like to make a comment on that. When I received that bill, I was scrutinizing that bill, and it was really a total chaos because, like what Commissioner Senior was mentioning about all these rules and policies and all that, I was looking at because it said you have to be veterans to be part of elected as a commissioner, right? Now the question there is, I'm a veteran. I'm not in any organization. Am I entitled to run? That's another issue. I don't want to be in like another Davis case where, he's not a tomorrow, but yet cannot. So there's so many things that really when it comes to, and also the sad thing about that is that once this law comes to reality, the executive director really, replaces the GOVA director, which federal funding now has to come to play here. Because right now, if they're going to be an independent Indian entity, I don't know. I'm, as a matter of fact, we're discussing this tomorrow with the, as a matter of fact, we're doing a discussion tomorrow with the, some of the organizations like the BVA, Vietnam Veterans for America, Purple Heart, and all that in reference to this bill. I'm saying that if it's not broken, why fix it? And this thing is not broken. So you don't want to change something, I guess it's the commissioner that they need to address, not the whole shebang is what I'm saying. Because, and according to the senator, he said she wanted to happen in 2026, and I told her it's not going to happen in 2026.
Okay, Commissioner Sini.
Thanks for bringing the timeline to mind. I also noted in the bill that it would require the GEC to begin accepting veteran voter registration within 4 months of the passage of this law. So if it passes, we need to consult our staff when we submit testimony to see if our staff, our current capacity, if we're able to do this within 4 months, but also within 6 months after this passes, it requires us to train the precinct officials on how to go about the election, the separate kind of election. And then, so if we're able to meet these timelines in this draft, the 4-month timeline and the 6-month timeline, we possibly would need more staff. So I think we need to underscore that in any draft testimony.
Well,
There's another issue there on the time, on that bill, if there's a tie, they said that within 30 days, there's going to be a special election to break the tie. So that's another issue. Can we make it in 30 days when you do funding and all that? Remember now that you have to request a funding just for a special election for that particular tie that they talking about. And the other issue here too is that the widow or the widower can vote if, but my question there is, what about my kids? Can they vote? Because they're part of the veteran's family.
Has this, there's no public hearing yet for this bill?
No, they haven't set it up yet
Yeah.
because,
No, Mr. Yeah.
Okay. But we have a bill, so
yeah.
it'd be good for the commission to, as Commissioner Orsini alluded, what the impact would be and our recommendations.
Yeah.
Because obviously, this is a whole new animal.
Yes, so we can work again together with legal and really comb through the bill. We did kind of just comb through it briefly, but again, since no public hearing has been set just yet, we're still virtually just reviewing it, and it is a pretty lengthy bill, so, yeah.
And
So
I
yes,
also,
we can review it, and then I guess present to you guys our findings with the bill, and maybe probably highlight some of the challenges that may be faced in implementing it.
And I also share my concern with Tom about this bill, for some of the items that are really questionable. And I share that with Tom to bring it up with the legal.
Yeah, because we're going to play a major role in this. I think we need to be at the forefront to make really strong recommendations or changes, et cetera. Okay. Moving on to item B, the election comparative analysis. That's the report that's attached, right?
Yes, sir. So this is the report. This is the first draft. It is actually due on June 30th, but we will be giving you guys a final draft on the next meeting. So it virtually just highlights, it's a comparative, so it looks at past elections as well as our previous, our most recent election. In the back, we have this portion right here. That's actually the remaining sections that will be needed, and they will be placed in there by your June meeting. Yeah.
Okay, any questions on that?
No, not for that. Do you have the bill for this one? The citizenship?
And this is due June 30th?
June 30th.
So you got
Yes,
about
Mr.
a
Chair,
month.
June 30.
Okay. Okay, let's move to item C. There's a proposed legislation.
Okay, Mr. Chair, so it's this item right here, or this bill right here, I believe it's separated from your packet. So back in April, the board did move to, I guess, follow the president's executive order regarding proof of citizenship. So as a result, the GEC has worked with our oversight Senator Talegui in drafting legislations that would incorporate citizenship requirements in the election code.
Yeah, Commissioner C.
Vince, if I'm not mistaken, I recall the federal court issued a ruling to halt the implementation of the Trump executive order, right?
Yeah, basically the court said that parts of the executive order are deferred to the states. So the federal government can enforce the registry in terms of registering, but the states can. So basically if the commission as a territory or state wants to incorporate that into their statute, then that's what this is. But yes, executive order for the federal side has been enjoined.
Okay, and I mean, this is a result of the commission voted the
Yes.
previous meeting to,
And then if you look at it, Mr. Chair, so we actually simply just put back some of the old requirements that were in
That
the
were there before,
in the
yeah.
provisions before, and then also incorporating them in some of the new laws that were enacted after.
okay. Any questions? Yes, Commissioner Singh?
Maybe I wasn't at the meeting, but I don't recall. I mean, it sounds like the discussion when the Trump executive order was issued was, of course, to comply, right? And if I think this is another question of whether we want to pursue it, right? Because I don't think we had the conversation after the court issued a ruling. It was when it was first issued. And so I think the question we need to decide is, do we want to pursue this requiring proof of citizenship on our own?
Yeah, so the only difference between what happens now and what happens with this bill is that instead of someone signing that they are and they attest, they have to show a document. So over the past, and I believe it was during the COVID elections, that's where the GEC found out that we had non-US citizen voters. Because that was we had the in-office, the very first in-office voting. And on the absentee ballot form, they had to attest that they were US citizens. And so some of them said, we're not US citizens, we cannot sign this. So the question is how did they register to vote and sign the attestation, but now that they're coming to vote? So we know there are non-US citizens on your voter rolls. Who they are, we don't know. So that's the only difference between what happens now versus what this bill is doing. So that's up to the commission to sort of deal with.
So right now, people just simply attest under penalty of perjury.
Yeah.
And then this bill, instead of an attestation, would be to present it to the
Whoever's
registering them. But the bill also says a copy of the evidence of citizenship shall be attached to the registration form.
Yeah, so that's when they show the registrar, they make a copy and they attach it to the form. So it's in the record.
The proof of citizenship.
Yeah.
And that was
So
the
they'll
practice.
take a picture of the passport or birth certificate and then attach it.
Have we previously done that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Commissioner. So it was just until, Senator Torres's law back in 2016.
Right.
So every election prior to that, proof of citizenship was required.
Yeah.
I believe it is 2016 or 2015 when when it was enacted.
I could see, right, of course, we want to maintain the integrity of our election, but I could also see, and I believe I recall the discussion at the time in 2016 was possibly disenfranchising voters or potential voters, right, by requiring these forms of documentation. For example, how many people here on Guam actually have a U.S. passport? And how many people would have that, on them when they want to register? Or I would also like to see what we said on the record when it was changed, right? Pulling up that public law and looking what we said back then. And I would hope we remain consistent. So I would like to see what GEC said back then on the law that removed these requirements. But, yeah, thanks.
Yes, we can provide that for the next meeting.
This bill hasn't been introduced, right? It's a
No,
draft.
no, it's just purely, it's just a draft. Doesn't have a bill number or anything like that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, any further comments, questions? Okay, I guess once it's introduced and then a public hearing is set, we'll need to have our own comments and suggestions on this.
Yeah, and of course, and we can relay that information to the senator, and then of course, we'll provide you guys the testimony, I guess, that was provided back in 2016 for more review. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I
Mr.
agree,
Chen,
yeah.
sorry, I just want to get clarification. Is this bill being introduced, as a result of the commission requesting for it as a body? Did we make that decision yet?
Well, we voted to comply with the president's executive order at that time. And I think because legislation would need to be introduced to allow this locally based on the recent ruling. So it's up to the state or, in our case, the territory to decide whether to include these proof of citizenship.
I think I would like for the whole commission to discuss this further before it's introduced, just because it seems like the discussion's different. It was complying with it, and then now, because it's halted, I think we just need to
Well,
think.
we complied with it because that's the executive order at the time. Then the court ruling came afterwards. Yeah. Putting a hold on it. But at the time we discussed it, I think we were all in agreement that proof of citizenship should be enforced, because we did it before, years before. And if this is correct, if we have non-citizens on our voter list, it's probably because of that open registration that does not allow proof of citizenship. I have an issue with attestation, because I don't think they understand what did they just attest to. And proof of citizenship and then attachment of those documents is what we used to do. I remember when I was a voter registrar, we had to copy it, make copies, and give it to the commission. So now that there's a court ruling that put a halt on it and puts it back to the states, I think that's it changes the focus. So, and it hasn't been introduced yet, so I think by the time we meet next in June with the additional commissioners and further discussion, should be warranted. Okay. Commissioner Tony, do you have something? Okay. Item D.
Yes, sir. Lastly, this is just the proposed records retention schedule. So we do have a records retention schedule for all our documents that we receive, from registration to campaign contributions reports and petitions. It hasn't been updated probably since the 70s. We are proposing to update some of that. So we do have some requirements. I guess in the past, the board wanted to hold nominating petitions for senators for 10 years. So, of course, we're asking the board to consider maybe reducing it to 4 years, because normally those documents don't even come back up. They get stored, and of course, that takes up a lot of real estate in our office. And another thing we are practicing, we are scanning everything.
Yeah.
So that's another plus. Of course, that wasn't available back then, but now every documents or correspondence that will come in will be scanned and stored digitally.
Does a statute requires us to,
The statute simply just requires the commission or allows the commission to establish a record retention schedule. So that's pretty much so the public law doesn't mention that nominating petitions to be stored for 10 years. It's just that the commission will establish this record retention schedule.
and the red highlights are what the commission is, or the staff is recommending?
Yes, suggested changes.
The red one.
Yeah. the
Yes, yes, the red ones. And then the current one, that's how long we are actually holding on to those records right now.
red. Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, you can imagine like the nominating petitions for senators, we're holding them for 10 years and we can have 5 elections before we are able to
Discard.
discard one, yeah.
And then your permanent is, we just keep it permanently, right?
The
Minutes
per-
of the meetings and. all
yeah,
that.
the permanent will just be permanent, yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Sin.
I have a question. Tom, I'm looking at page 58,
Okay.
and I see that the nominating petition for governor and lieutenant governor for partisan and nonpartisan differ. Is there a reason for that?
I would say over the years there's more interest in the gubernatorial election. So if anyone would like to see the original documents, the governor's nominating out of the nominating petitions, the governors will probably be the one that would be people will have more interest on versus as opposed to the senators.
Oh.
But if you want, we can uniform it.
I'm talking about the difference between the partisan and nonpartisan for governor. So for partisan, it says 4 years, and then nonpartisan 8.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That one, that amendment, I can take a look at and see that one. But just to let you know, historically, we have not ever had a nonpartisan petition for governor. So, but that one I can look into that and get back to you on that if you guys want to sit on this and wait till the next meeting to make any decision.
So nonpartisan is someone that runs as an independent, for
Yeah,
instance?
an
or-
independent, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever had one, but,
Yeah, I don't
but
think
yeah,
we have
why the difference between 4 and 8?
That one I can. So Joe's normally in charge of the records and also a lot of our logistics. So I can speak with him in regards to the 4 and 8 and give you some
Yeah, so
clarity.
just
on
probably
it.
be consistent if
Yeah.
we're.
Yeah, or I can even talk to him too about making it universal and just be consistent
Yeah,
4
4
years
years.
each. Yeah.
And you need a motion from the commission to approve these?
Yes, that one will require board action as well.
Okay,
But if it's up to you if you guys would want to
do
handle
you
this on
wanna-
this meeting or the June meeting.
when we have the additional commissioners present?
Yeah.
I think,
Okay. Yes.
for me, I think we'll wait until the rest of the commissioners are here
Yes.
so
Oh,
that
yeah.
they can have any input or reference
Yeah.
to this.
And it gives you guys some time to digest it. And,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, so we'll just table
Table
this
it,
for the
yeah.
next meeting. Yeah. That's a good point. Okay, moving on to legal counsel's report. Vince? You have two
Okay.
items there?
Mr. Chair, I'm assuming you know that the Attorney General has requested for a rehearing on the case, and so we're just waiting for a decision from the Ninth Circuit of whether they'll accept the rehearing. Again, this is the case that involves Election Commission in a way that would require the Election Commission to conduct a referendum vote on whether the abortion should be allowed on Guam or not. So that's to the extent of Guam Election Commission's role within this statute or within the case. The next one, executive order. I'm not sure why that's under me. Huh? Oh, the court injunction that we just talked about? Yeah, so we sent the Election Commission, the Federal Commission, a letter just asking for clarification on the executive order. But this is again before the court's decision on that one provision of the executive order with regard to registration. So we've also seen, as part of what's going on with the Election Commission, the reduction of the election assistance grant from $200,000 to $54,000. So, and that one, of course, is allowed because that comes from Congress directly. But did we receive any response?
This is the letter that was written to Donna Palmer?
So the formal inquiry, we delivered it, we hand delivered it to the commissioners when we went to the standards board meeting. While they were at the standards board meeting, the court came down with the injunction. So they could not, the EAC's general counsel could not comment on any of our questions for proof of citizenship because of the injunction. It was in litigation.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the status.
They could not comment, but are they going to eventually respond to the letter? Or his letter?
Yes, we'll follow up.
Okay, public comments. Our next meeting, June
June 19th, sir.
19th. Is everybody available June 19th, 5:30? So our next meeting will be June 19th, 5:30 PM here at the GEC conference room. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? Okay, moved by Commissioner Gumatauta, second by Commissioner Orsini. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? The meeting is adjourned. It is 6:45 PM.